Greetings, this is Amy Wentley with Chai Knuckles Knitting, and this is episode 2020-01, the Umaro Blanket, Step-by-Step Lace and Cables. This episode is row 1. This is a series of 5 videos. The second will be row 2, the third will be row 3, the fourth will be row 7 that includes the cables, and the last is how to run a lifeline. I'm currently teaching a class at the Hillsboro Yarn Shop in Hillsboro, North Carolina on the Umaro Blanket by Jared Flood. And this set of videos is to help the students step through the first few rows of the chart to be able to understand how to do yarn overs, decreases, and the cables so that they can practice before the next lesson. So in this video, we're going to start with row 1. And here is a copy of row 1, and I'm going to zoom in just a little bit on this so you can see it a little better, a little closer. And I will include my hands in here. See? And this is a 31 stitch section of the chart. And the swatches that we're doing for the class start with 2 rows of seed stitch, and then they'll begin with row 1 of this 31 stitch sequence. The orange lines in this chart designate the 12 stitch repeat, and in my knitting those are marked with these 2 red markers. So we're going to start at the beginning of row 1 with a knit, purl, knit, purl. So I need to make sure I have my working yarn, move that yarn out of the way, and I'm going to knit the first stitch. Then I bring the yarn to the front to purl. Then I take the yarn to the back to knit, and I bring the yarn to the front to purl. So that takes care of the first 4 stitches. And my yarn is now in front. Okay. The next stitch is a yarn over followed by a slip slip knit. Normally to do a yarn over, what we would do would be bring the yarn to the front and take it over the needle. What we're going to do is leave the yarn in the front here. We're going to do the next 2 stitches a slip slip knit. When we go to knit those, we'll actually be carrying the yarn over the right hand needle to make the yarn over. So let's do the slip slip knit. We're going to slip as if to knit and slip as if to knit those 2 stitches. They're now twisted on the right hand needle. We're going to take the left hand needle, bring them in the front of those 2 stitches, take our working yarn over the needle and to the back to knit those 2 stitches through the back. There you go. And slip them off onto the right hand needle. So here we have knit, purl, knit, purl. Here is our yarn over, which we just made by moving the yarn from the front to the back to work our slip slip knit, which is this stitch. So the next stitches in the chart are a knit, 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 purl, knit, knit, knit. So we'll do that. Okay, so the yarn is already in the back. We're going to knit, 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 and then purl the next stitch. Bring the yarn in the front, purl the next stitch, take the yarn in the back, knit, knit, knit. And we come to the marker, which is designated by this orange line in the chart. The next stitch is a knit 2 together. So we take our right needle and we put it through the 2 stitches on our left needle together. We go to the very far stitch, insert the needle as if to knit, and get both of those stitches as if we're knitting. We take the yarn and we loop it around to knit and pull it through and drop the needle off the loop. So that's our knit 2 together, and that's right there in the chart. The next stitch is a yarn over followed by a purl. So if we were going to do a yarn over, we would bring the yarn to the front. However, the next stitch is a purl. If we go ahead and purl this stitch, we won't actually be doing a yarn over because the purl stitch expects us to have the yarn in the front. So what we need to do before we purl is lift the yarn over the right hand needle. Sorry for bumping the camera. So we lift the yarn over the right hand needle and bring it back to the front one more time. So that makes an extra loop on that right hand needle. Then we purl. So after we purl, we now have, this was our knit two together, this is our yarn over, and this is the purl stitch. So the next stitch is a yarn over again. And we've got our yarn in the front, and this is a slip slip knit. So for a yarn over, we would want to take the yarn to the back, but we need to slip slip knit these two stitches. So let's just leave the yarn in the front for right now, and we're going to carry it over when we knit for that slip slip knit. So let's slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit. That twists those two stitches. We bring the left hand needle into the front of the two needles on the right hand needle, and we take the yarn over the top of the right needle and to the back to knit those together. So now we had, starting from the marker, we had a knit two together, a yarn over, a purl, a yarn over, and a slip slip knit. Okay, let's look at our chart again. Again, we have 3 knits, a purl, and 3 knits. So let's do those, and then we should run into the marker. So 3 knits, 1, 2, 3. Bring the yarn to the front to purl. Take the yarn to the back to knit. 1, 2, 3, and we are at the marker. So the marker is right there in the chart, the orange line. So we're going to slip our marker over to the right hand needle, and the next stitch is a knit two together. So we will knit those two together. I'll do this a little slowly for you again. Okay, sorry. I go to the second stitch on the left needle and I insert as if to knit and put my needle also through that first stitch, come around back to knit, pull it through and drop it off. That's the knit two together. Then the next stitch is a yarn over to a purl again. So to yarn over, I bring it to the front, but if I were to purl, it wouldn't make an extra loop. So I need to loop it over the top of the right needle and bring it to the front one more time. So that makes my yarn over loop, and then I purl. And then the last 3 stitches of this row are knit, purl, knit. So I need to bring my yarn to the back, and I knit, and I purl, and I knit. So it's a good time to go back and look at what you did. So let's just read off these stitches and compare them to the chart. We have knit, purl, knit, purl. So purl. Yarn over, that's that funny stitch with a hole under it. This is a slip slip knit. Then we have knit 1, 2, 3, whoops, sorry, purl, 1, 2, 3, the marker. We have knit 2 together, yarn over and purl, yarn over and slip slip knit. Then we have 1, 2, 3, purl, knit 1, 2, 3, marker, and then a knit 2 together, yarn over, purl, knit, purl, knit. And that ends row 1. So look for the next video that'll go through chart row 2. Thank you.